Good evening, Knife Capital family. I'm super privileged to be able to chat to you today and share some of our learnings that we've had over the last couple of years. A little bit of a disclaimer is that we are still in the process of learning, and we have learnings and challenges on a daily basis. But I truly believe that every time we overcome any of these challenges, it brings us closer to our goal. In thinking about today's chat, I was thinking, like, do I speak more about internationalizing in terms of like how to hire abroad, tax structures and so on? And I decided not to go that route and actually to stick to the topic that is the closest to my heart and the topic that I think is the most important of all, and it's how to get clients. Because without that, nothing else really matters. So just a few stats around our last 18 months. In the last 18 months, actually, since our partnership with Knife Capital officially began, we have doubled our total client base. We've managed to quadruple our international client base. And our main focuses for growth are Germany and France. Those are the two countries that we focus on. And in terms of client base, our client is the gym owner. So I'm sure you might already be familiar with what we do, but we're a SaaS company and we provide gym owners all the tools that they require to run their business, and all their members become our users. They get to download the Octiv app free of charge to use the platform. So we're a B2B SaaS company. So in the last 18 months, what we have managed to do is we've managed to bust the myth. When embarking on this journey, quite a few people that I spoke to said things to me to the effect of, European clients only trust European companies. German people only trust other German companies, and so on. And I didn't believe that. I thought, we can actually grow in this market and really thrive. And what we found is that German people, French people, South African people, we're all people, and we support people are loyal and will do business with and support other people who invest the time, energy, and effort to really get to know them on a deeper level and understand their needs very well. And what we've actually found is that our German and French clients end up resenting their local players because they have an international company like ourselves who are willing to go the extra mile to really get to know them well. And the loyalty that comes from that really goes a long way. So yeah, so the good news is that they don't only trust local players, they're willing to trust other companies as long as the companies are willing to really put the time in understanding what they need. And then a few insights along the way. What really sets us apart from, for example, our big American competitors is that the big mistake that international companies make is that they view Europe as a region. And we all know that Europe is a region, but every country in Europe is very unique and very specific in their nuances and the way they do things, and payment workflows and language and so on. So really, I think the focusing on one country at a time has been very good for us. We started with Germany as the first big nuanced country. We put in a lot of time in learning the culture and the etc. But what that's caused is that replicating that in France and tweaking certain nuances, we found traction in France much faster than traction in Germany back when we started. So we definitely feel like it's something we can replicate as we go along, but it's one country at a time. Language translation. If you go to Berlin, for example, everyone speaks English, but if you go 1 hour outside of Berlin, no one speaks English. So the language translation has been very important. We've translated the language into French. We've translated the platform into French and German, but it goes further than just the platform. So it's the platform, the website, all collateral, marketing collateral, sales and support in their language. So we've hired French and German speaking sales and support people, and this has worked really, really well. Relationship building so the relationship building aspect is probably the most important, especially in the early days, especially with each and every new client, because, you know, we've gone from being quite an established company here in South Africa, where we're quite well known, to right back to like a hardcore startup where no one knows who we are. So every single customer we're building a relationship with, because every single piece of word of mouth is really valuable. And the good word of mouth is really valuable, and the bad word of mouth is very destructive. So, you know, getting to know our clients on a more personal level has been a game changer. And in saying that, number 4 here, patience, genuine interest and concern. So patience is the key here, because relationships aren't built overnight. So what we found is that like relationships that we've put effort in building about a year ago are now converting into clients, and maybe not a full year, but it takes time. So return on investment, it's a bit slower, but then when it starts rolling, the traction picks up. Humility and authenticity. What we found with some of our big competitors, they go in and they are gung-ho, like we are the best, and look at all our features and etc. But really, like what builds relationships really well is a culture of humility and authenticity in every interaction. That, like, you know, we are not perfect, but we are willing to make the effort to really get to know you and to build a product that really works for you. And that really goes a long way. It also allows clients to open up to us with their feedback. So that really goes a long way. And then fail fast, because euros are very expensive for us South Africans. So making sure that, like, you know, we are trying a whole lot of different things, but whatever doesn't work, that we're actually quite agile, and we change quite quickly. Yeah, so fail fast is really, really key. The main goal here is to get to critical mass. So for us, it's like we need to get to critical mass in each country that we focus on. And the reason for that being such a big priority is because once you get to a certain number of clients in a country, critical mass, things just get easier. Sales start becoming more inbound as opposed to outbound. Growth starts speeding up. And so critical mass is key. What we've kind of had to come to terms with is that en route to critical mass, customer acquisition costs are high. So there's a lot more unscalable efforts to get that first cohort of customers. But every single new customer results in a gradually lower cost of acquisition for the next customer. So as we are getting bigger in Germany, our customer acquisition cost is decreasing, and our sales cycle time is decreasing. The amount of effort we have to make in convincing people decreases. So it really is the light at the end of the tunnel. But at the beginning, you're spending a lot of money to get that the first chunk of clients in the country to prove yourself. Yeah, so doing unscalable things in order to be able to scale later on. Speaking of different countries, you know, culture. So every country has a very specific culture, and within the country, every region in the country may have differing nuances in different regions. So it's just important to think about, you know, what do they respond to well? Where do they spend their time and attention? How do they like to be sold? So some countries and some cultures don't mind picking up the phone and speaking to a salesperson. Other cultures, like the UK, for example, cold calling is extremely difficult. It's so saturated, they get so many calls. So you have to be creative. So for example, you know, in certain regions where we found cold calling is really not great, we've had to be creative. We go outbound on Instagram, on Facebook. Certain cultures like WhatsApp is huge. Other cultures, they don't use WhatsApp at all. So yeah, it's just important to learn, and also important to learn how to be served. When I speak to gym owners, I always think, you know, I say to them, do your customers prefer a high five or a hug? You don't want to hug somebody who doesn't want to be hugged. And then tactical, you know, I've spoken quite a lot of high level, but just some tactical things that we've done. something I've realized is that sales and marketing needs to be pretty much like one team. There needs to be such deep cohesion between sales and marketing, and they need to work together in the same direction, and the timing of certain things and so on. It's no longer like we're just an outbound company, or we're just an inbound company, or we're just a product-led growth company. It's super important to have a holistic approach. So when we send the direct mailer out, that they receive a handwritten note from us, that week they're getting a call from our salesperson and they're being targeted with ads. And then like that end of that month, we're going to see them in person at an event. And it's all these touch points that actually end up converting. It works together as a campaign and not necessarily single things. So I spoke about unscalable things. I spoke to the team, and we wanted to come up with, for each country, so for Germany, for example, like I want to come up with an offer that they would feel stupid saying no to. And so that we came up with the Octiv Founders Club, and the Octiv Founders Club are our first 50 clients in a country, and they get a really good competitive software subscription price for life. We do the entire onboarding for them, so it's completely plug and play. You give us the keys to your old software, and we'll migrate all your data and etc. And we hold roundtable discussions with them regularly to get their feedback on the product, so that they know that we're actually building the product for them and they feel invested. And that's worked really well. You know, we got to our first 50 clients in Germany quite quickly using that. Completely unscalable, even in terms of onboarding capacity and our team's capacity and so on. But we managed to switch the Octiv Founders Club off in Germany relatively quickly, and now we sell Octiv as per normal, and there's traction as opposed to how hard it was at the beginning. Physical presence is probably the most important thing. So last year we we had presence at 12 international events, where we had like either a vendor stand or we were a sponsor, and we had team members there. The physical presence is so important. It is expensive, it is tiring, it is a lot of logistics, but it is really the thing that has moved the needle for us. And what we've learned is also that you're not going to do it in one event. There needs to be repetition. So people who saw us at the first event, by the third event, they were our clients. So it takes time and energy, but it really does pay off. And then in terms of the event, like I think maybe because we are a South African company, and you know, going to a European event is such a big deal for us, and it's expensive. We put a lot of effort in. So we are the first at the breakfast room, and we are the last people at the bar. And a lot of magic happens during that time. At the end of one of these events, we are finished. But the beauty that comes from it is the relationships that we built. We are friends with some gym owners who are not yet our clients, but we know that they will convert over time, and the proof's in the pudding. Key relationships, I think it goes without saying, I won't go into it too much, but it's really like identifying individuals and organizations that are well respected. So I'm not talking about fitness influencers. I'm talking more about, in our market, we selling to the gym owner. So like business coaches for gyms who have a really good reputation, for example. We've had partnerships with people like that. Organizations like CrossFit themselves. We've partnered with like CrossFit Germany and CrossFit France, and they speak on our behalf. And it really does raise the credibility of the company. So it's really trying to identify that and not wasting money on, you know, fitness influencers that have a massive following, but not a lot of respect. It's more micro influencers within the community that have a big voice. And then just, I've actually got 3 final thoughts, not 2, but just on final thoughts, super important to go deep and not wide, or deep before going wide, and patience. It takes time to get the traction required, but it does come with patience and really putting in the effort. Just the third thought that I didn't add to the slides is it's really, really hard. So going into a new market when you are not based there is a really difficult thing. And in the early days especially, there's a lot of hard feedback to hear, and there's a lot of rejection, like for the sales team, for example. So what's very important is like I've found investing in our team culture and investing in our team morale and having real empathy, understanding that it's actually a really hard job to do, it's gone a really long way. And also building what I really believe is a really, really strong team on our side. And you can't do anything without a really strong team who's dedicated and understands the vision, and can look long term and not just at today's rejection that they get. And yeah, that's me for today. And really, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm very privileged to be able to share some learnings with you. Cheers, guys.